Hey everyone, welcome to a week in DSP. This is for the week of January 21st, 2019. There was a lot of ranting and salt this week, which makes it rather interesting. And thankfully, most of them I was able to capture clips for, so we can actually include them in here and talk about them after they've been played. There was also a lot of late night tweets and schedule changes, so of course I can't really dive into and talk about Phil's weekly schedule because, again, he changed it about every 12 hours. Starting early Monday morning, we get a tweet from Phil at 5:55 a.m. his time, talking about he had been up overnight working with the fraud department about clearing his name. So he uses this as an excuse for having to either delay his Monday morning Dark Souls stream or just not make it happen and only do an evening stream. Phil never elaborated what kind of fraud was being committed, whether this was bank fraud or someone was trying to use his credit cards online, or if someone had managed to social engineer into his utilities company and was trying to cancel his internet service. No one said anything. The other thing that's really interesting about this is what fraud department works at overnight from, I don't know, 3 a.m. his time to 6 a.m. his time. Seems like a very odd time to have a department that's open. I'm not sure how many fraud departments out there work 24/7. Because keep in mind, this is going from Sunday night into Monday morning. A lot of places are, of course, closed on the weekends. Phil's excuse for delaying the stream is, of course, flimsy at best because he says, "Oh, I've been up till 6 a.m. and I haven't fallen asleep yet." When we do get tweets, even during this week, we get another late night, early morning tweet from Phil where he's up till 3:30, almost 4 a.m. his time very regularly. So losing 2 hours of sleep is enough warrant in order to delay going into work late, or just not going into work at all. I would hate to see Phil have to work a real job where he's using that kind of excuse in order to not show up for his shift. Could you imagine if he had to give up this and go work at McDonald's and he just wakes up he just wakes up in the morning of his shift and calls in and says, "Hey, I only got 6 hours of sleep instead of 8 hours of sleep, boss, so I'm just not going to come in for my shift at all. I'll still work the evening shift, don't worry, but you know what? I'm going to take the whole morning shift off so that way I can feel comfortable and be ready and energized in order to do a later stream or a later shift." I got my metaphors mixed up there. Now, keep in mind, my history doesn't go as far back as a lot of other Detractor channels. I'm not even a year old yet. But this is already starting to become a trend where in about a week's worth of time, from the 12th to the 21st, okay, maybe a week and a half, Phil has delayed starting his day stream twice. Back on Saturday the 12th, it was, "Oh, I woke up and half my throat was hurting, so I'm just going to sleep in a little bit more." I want to say there was another time before that, maybe in December or maybe very early at the start of the year, where Phil again just delayed starting a stream one time. Maybe it was part of the Six saga where he went back to sleep and then he woke up. He's like, "Oh, I'm feeling 100% better. Let's get the stream started." He goes right into like Minecraft or Final Fantasy IV. I don't have the date exactly, but this is starting to become a growing trend where not only is he changing his schedules a shit ton now, which he didn't used to do in the past, at least since when I started making these videos, but now he's also starting to just randomly cancel and delay streams or even just not run streams anymore, as we saw back in December. And Phil uses these little instances where he cancels a stream or delays a stream and says, "Oh gosh, guys, I missed 3 hours of streaming, so that's 3 hours of income I'm not going to get now." And he tries to turn it into a pity party to get more money in. And it's the perfect plan for him because now it allows him to stream less and try to either get the same amount of money or get more money by milking his cows a little bit more and just being like, "Oh, boo-hoo, I'm so sick. I couldn't stream for a week. Feel sorry for me," and start laying on more and more money. He must have saw that the sick card was being played a shit ton recently, so he just had to go with, "Let's go with fraud because people are always constantly fucking with me." Now, it's true, people are always constantly fucking with him, and there are people who are some real serious A-loggers out there who would probably do something like this to Philip. I totally disavow those kinds of actions, but Here's the thing, especially as we'll see later on in the week, there's someone who went and tried to dox Phil's neighbors. They went around calling and emailing all of them and telling them that Phil is a pedophile, even though he was never convicted, yada, yada. I'll get to that later on, but it is evident that people are fucking with him. So it's hard to say. Like I said, I don't like to get into a whole lot of speculation, but we never heard about this event ever again throughout the week, and we never got any more information on it. Just that Phil was up till 6 a.m., and he picked fraud as his reason for starting his Dark Souls stream late that day. But now this gets to play into for the reason why he delayed his retrospective event, because he wanted to have a full day of streaming Dark Souls, and now we're only going to get a partial day. He wants to take the full day and push it into tomorrow, Tuesday, to have a full day of Dark Souls Magic Run, and then delay the retrospective event till the end of the month. Now, here's the thing with the retrospective event. He's talked about it before where the patrons haven't really nominated a whole lot of shit. He's also obviously not going to be the guy to go through and pick the stuff that he wants to talk about. And he's not going to go through and listen to suggestions that could be borderline trollish, where there's any video that suggested that was one where he was incredibly negative or one that even had Leanna in it. Now, there's no new games until Friday. That's Resident Evil 2, at least on his schedule. We had Tales of Vesperia come out this week. We had Ace Combat 7 come out, and he's refusing to do any of those. Instead, we get Dark Souls for the 4th time. We get Minecraft. We cancel the retrospective event for more Dark Souls and more Black Ops. Oh, and there's also Life is Strange 2, but that one didn't even get a thumbnail on his YouTube video. So, like, he's skipping a whole lot of really good stuff. Potentially good stuff, at least a variety of stuff to keep doing same old, same old, same old. It doesn't make sense also how he really wants to dedicate a whole day stream to doing a magic run in Dark Souls when he said that the Dark Souls run is just going to be filler content and he wants to table it indefinitely when he gets through the upcoming weeks of new releases, because not only we're going to have Resident Evil 2, but we also have Kingdom Hearts right around the corner as well, and that's going to be a really long JRPG. So who knows when he'll be able to get back to Dark Souls. So who the heck cares that we lost part of Dark Souls on Monday? He's never going to finish this magic run, and it's barely even a magic run to begin with because he's killed a boss with melee weapons, and he's pretty terrible at it. I mean, with all the hand-holding and everything else. I think he's even spec'd himself so that way he can use pyromancy as well. So that's kind of just going, oh, instead of being all in on sorcery, he's just going to use whatever spell he can get his hands on, which kind of really isn't holding yourself to kind of a challenge. I mean, that's like me playing my Dark Souls dagger only run and then going, oh, you know what? This part of the game is really difficult with daggers, so I'm just going to swap to, I don't know, the Foom Ultra Great Sword or the Washing Pole. You know, some other completely different weapon or playstyle that doesn't fit just to make things a little bit easier, I guess. So Phil starts his stream about 2 hours later than he normally does, and he says we're going to be running until 3:30 his time with no breaks, which is 5:30 my time. Now, he normally runs until about 4 p.m. his time with these streams, so not only are we starting later, but we're ending a half an hour earlier, but we don't have a break in there, so I guess we're still getting not quite the same amount of game, but I guess it's okay to end a half an hour early if we don't have a half hour break partway through. But it just seems really, really crazy for him to do it this way. Here's another thing that's really funny, is if he plays later in his stream, like say he takes Dark Souls and plays it till about 5 p.m. his time, he will delay his evening stream by an hour to compensate, so he still has the same 2.5 hour, 3 hour break between his day and his night stream. But if he's ending in a half hour early, we're not going to get to Minecraft a half an hour early. He's not going to start Minecraft at 6:30. Minecraft is still going to start at 7 o'clock. So DSP gets the Dark Souls 3 stream underway, and there's a special guest in Phil's chat who gets gifted a sub, and he's not very happy about it, and that is Wings of Redemption. Now, he is in here giving Phil legit advice on how to handle certain monsters during the Dark Souls run. For example, with this screen cap from Clown Piss, we have Wings of Redemption saying, the tree people are strong versus pierce damage and weak versus slash. Use your one-handed R2. Phil is going out of his way to not only acknowledge that Wings of Redemption is in his chat, that Wings of Redemption got gifted a sub to his channel, and any other bit of advice that Wings is giving him. And people are even cheering to Phil and tipping Phil. They're giving money to Phil, say, hey, give a shout out to Wings. Wings is giving you good advice. Please say something. It's a really good point to show how petty Philip Burnell actually is. This is what someone else has already said on the Kiwi Farms, but give Phil actual advice without money attached to it and just see him sit there and stew in frustration and pettiness because he's not going to acknowledge it without money, or he's not going to acknowledge it because he doesn't like you. Wings of Redemption, he admitted that he never emailed Phil, but he wants to get past that and still work with him. But of course, Phil isn't going to work with anyone, and he's not going to go out of his way to ban another partner in his chat, because Diction has showed up plenty of times in his chat and talked shit, and there's been other partners that have shown up in his chat and talked shit about his gameplay, and none of them get fucking moderated. But this is the exact opposite. Instead of showing up and being a detractor or derailing anything, he's actually talking about the game, which is something Phil demands from his chat constantly. He doesn't want them going off and talking about things that aren't related to the game. He's threatened to end streams early if they're talking about things not related to the game. And here's Wings of Redemption giving him advice, because that's what Phil wanted. He said, I want to do this magic run, but I don't know how to do magic. So I'm openly saying I need my hand held through this. And Wings has given him all this free good advice, and he doesn't want to take it just because it's tied to Wings of Redemption. Now, the Wings situation became such a head for Phil that he actually stopped to create 2 rants about it. Number one is this 1-minute clip from Comma that he took from the stream.
The bottom line is, right now, obviously, there's stuff going on in the stream that's trying to derail the entire fucking stream, and I'm not going to entertain it. I'm just not. You know, I'm playing a game. I'm trying to be entertaining. I'm trying to interact and learn about the game and do stuff. And just because, you know, another content creator or someone shows up doesn't mean the entire stream should then become about him, seriously. And I don't appreciate that people try to do that. It's one thing to say, oh, hi, someone's here. It's another thing for everyone to literally scream and yell and cheer and do all this stuff in regards to this person and try to derail the whole fucking stream, which is exactly what it is. The stream is not going to be between me and this guy, and I'm not going to let this derail what I'm doing at all. And regardless of how many people do it, I'm just going to continue on because I know what the fuck I'm doing. But I don't agree with someone who came in and maybe subbed or whatever and said something and they got banned. I don't think that should have happened. So.
Now, this first minute does make it to the YouTube video. And what's interesting is the YouTube video, the archive that he's recording this for, he doesn't use Wings of Redemption's name. He says, oh, guys, there's someone in chat, and stop derailing it and making it about him being there. Now, Phil, you're the guy who could have just acknowledged and said, hey, Wings, how's it going on? But instead, you turn it into this whole thing. And the reason why your audience was throwing all these cheers at you, these 50 bits, and going, hey, look, it's Wings. Wings is in your chat. It's because you didn't acknowledge him whatsoever. You were just sitting there stewing in your pettiness, and you're complaining about your chat, your audience, making it about him, and he's there making it about the game, trying to talk about and give you advice. If you just acknowledged his presence and said, oh, look, he's telling me how to handle the tree people. That's interesting. I'll try that next time. And just moved on with that, it wouldn't have been this whole big deal. But it gets even worse. It gets to the point where he stops at a bonfire for 3 minutes, and we get this clip.
Okay. Alright, everyone, so I am going to update the leaderboards, even though, like I said, I was not going to derail the entire stream with you guys talking about Wings of Redemption. I've stopped recording for YouTube, by the way, so now I can actually talk. You guys got to understand something, alright? This is me being very honest. I have 2 audiences. I have a live streaming audience, I have a YouTube audience. How do you think the YouTube audience is going to feel if all we talk about for 30 minutes is that Wings of Redemption is in the stream? They're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, well, who cares, right? They're just watching the game for the game. I understand that many of you, my viewers, may cross over with his audience, and vice versa. That's fine, but stop making the entire stream about another person who came in. Same thing if LTG came in here, which he did last year. People just need to learn how to behave. Oh, wow, someone's in here. That's nice. Okay, continue on with the game. Not, let's cheer 400 times small cheers to try to get Phil's attention. Then let's tip, and let's sub, and let's do this for 30 minutes while Phil's trying to play a tough game and distract the shit out of him. All right? You got to start to act a little bit more mature than that. And I didn't punish anyone or anything, but that's complete 100% stream derailment. All right? So please stop with that. All right. So anyway, let's take a look here because I actually believe someone named 672 is actually the top tipper for today. So I'm going to get him on the leaderboard. I'm going to update all the totals here before we continue. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do is probably round. Let's see here. Who's the top cheerer? Top cheerer is still Insomniatic Me, 255 bits. Yeah, no one's beaten that. I'm double checking, but I'm pretty sure no one beat that. Okay. So we're up to $20 in tips. I'll update that. There we go. Alright. Now we can continue. Now, seeing, of course, now people taking offense, it's very simple. I don't dictate what you guys can or can't do in my stream chat. I don't. I say there's some basic rules. I don't care if you talk about it, but when you literally derail the entire stream for 30 minutes, that's wrong. And it's your place to understand if it's wrong or not to derail something. I'm sure when Wings came in here, the last thing he wanted was for the entire stream to be about him for 30 minutes. He wasn't doing anything disrespectful. It's up to you guys to realize not to do that, all right? And I'm not going to derail the whole stream and talk about it at length when I'm recording for YouTube and everything and I'm in the middle of gameplay, which is why I didn't mention it. Now I find a logical place where I can sit down and relax and then I can talk about it, all right? So just please stop. All right? Okay.
Now this clip, since it's 3 minutes, there's a lot to unpack here. And there's a couple of hypocritical things that Phil mentions. And of course, Phil is the king of hypocrisy, so that's why I kind of wanted to break this down. So he starts this and talks and basically chastises his own audience for derailing the stream. And I just want to point out, derailing the stream as in stopping what you're doing for 3 minutes for the people that are there, your live audience, in order to scold them, that's not derailing the gameplay and the stream. He also mentions that he has two audiences, a YouTube audience and a Dark Souls audience, a live stream audience. But who cares about the YouTube audience? YouTube's just an archive. Your audience can't even comment on the YouTube videos. So, like, if they are going to be confused by who Wings of Redemption is every time you answer a cheer related to him, who cares? Seriously. You shit on them in the past by saying that they take you for granted because they don't contribute any money like the people who do on the Twitch streams. And you really only have one audience. You have the audience that is able to show up for the streams, and you have the audience that is able to show up for the YouTube videos. But if the people who are watching the YouTube videos are watching the game for the game, then all this fucking live commentary that has to do with the stream chat when you answer a cheer or when you answer a tip message, they're going to get that anyways. So who cares if a majority of it for 30 minutes centered around Wings of Redemption? That has nothing to do with the gameplay that they're watching, and how is that any different from any other archive that they might be watching? I also love his comment of saying, learn to behave. I feel like this could be a conditioning phrase because he's scolding his audience here. I mean, I'm definitely going to use this clip in the cultist video if I ever get around to it. But he is conditioning his audience and saying, hey, talking about other content creators while they're in here, that's a big no-no. Here's what you are allowed to talk about. You're only allowed to talk about what I'm doing. He also says that these were a series of small cheers in order to try to get his attention. And obviously they got his attention. But would it have been okay if they used larger cheers? I just found the descriptor of small cheers to be very, I don't know, ungrateful, especially for someone who needs to raise a lot of money before April. There's also him using maturity, learn to be mature, grow up, be mature. Mature is a recurring phrase in Phil when he's talking to his audience, and it's one of those words that he uses to describe his in-group versus the out-group. The people who don't understand the real world, who think that Phil can just sell his house and get a job and everything would be hunky-dory, well, they're immature children that don't understand how the real world operates. But people who watch Phil, they have a positive IQ. They know they know maturity. They're adults. But here's the thing. I mean, if you break down his audience, more and more of them are more degenerate than the last. You get not only Master Sarvatari, who's into the fucking Riona shit, but now you have Brian. I just found his Twitter feed and I scrolled through it, and he retweets a lot of the same stuff that Master Saru retweets. So now there's another guy in Phil's chat who's into anime women getting punched in the tits and punched in the stomach. Now, the last comment is Phil says he makes a few basic rules and expects you guys to follow them, but he doesn't tell you what you can and can't talk about. But isn't this whole thing telling us what we can and can't talk about? Not to mention the other clips of you holding your stream hostage and saying, oh, you guys aren't talking about the gameplay, so what am I supposed to react to? How am I supposed to interact with you if you're not talking about the game? I'm just going to end the stream early. And then the final comment is, I didn't want to mention it. No, you didn't want to mention it. That's why I have 2 clips that total 4 minutes of you talking about it entirely. This just goes to show how Phil has absolutely no tact and no social awareness when it goes to handling these kinds of situations. Like I said earlier, if he just said, hey Wings, how's it going? What's up? Oh, hey, that's some good advice. I'll check it out. I'll try that next time. That sort of information, it would have been fine. But he either chose to ignore the messages entirely because they came from Wings, or the messages didn't have money attached to them and he only had Muxy up on his screen, which he has done before. He has admitted to only having Muxy full screen on his laptop as his only way to interact with this chat, the only messages that can come through. We've seen that with the IRL streams with Kat, in that he doesn't have chat up, he only has Muxy up, and then he was like, oh, well, let's take some things from chat, let me go and open up chat. Oh, you've only been talking for an hour and a half and you never opened up your Twitch chat, you only left it open to the people who were sending you money? I guess it's kind of like a triple check mark on the pettiness scale. Not only does he mention them being small cheers, but Wings wasn't sending money with messages with money attached, so he wasn't going to acknowledge them, and he only acknowledges his audience after he gets a free moment, and he didn't really want to do it. Now, I really appreciate Kama being the one who not only gets these nice little screen caps, but they also save these streamable files, which are very easy to download, so I can include them in here. So we got another clip from Phil. He got invaded during his Monday Dark Souls stream. The invader's name was, of course, Dark Spirit Snort in all caps. And Phil got really triggered by this guy's name. Oh, look, it's a no-life detractor. He's been waiting all day to do this sort of thing. Now, what's really great about this invading Dark Spirit is they're wearing practically the same outfit that Phil is and using the same equipment. So the particular headgear is called the Crown of Dust, and Crown of Dusk, and it increases the damage your magic spells do. So this invader is also doing a magic build as well, and invading Phil, who's supposed to be doing his magic run challenge, and one-shots him with a spell, just to really show Phil, hey, this is the power of a magic build done right.
Okay. Dark Spirit Snort has invaded. Nice. It's obviously a troll. He's been waiting to do this all day long. Oh God, it's a trap. Okay then. How exciting. Ow! I don't know what that was. It was fast. It insta-killed me. Oh well. Snort. What an asshole. What was that spell? Crazy ass fucking area. Boom. Fast spell. There's no way to dodge that. Alright, well there's no point. I'm not gonna unhollow now. Fuck it. There's no point in doing it.
And just at the end there, Phil says, you know what, there's no point in unhollowing, which is, I guess, has to be a similar mechanic to being in Embered status in Dark Souls 3. Got to keep in mind I've only played Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne, but the whole point here is he refuses to transform his character to the full state, which opens you up to the online play, because he knows that there's a troll out there who is trying to stream snipe him and has been successful once already, and he doesn't want to give the guy any more ammunition. So he just skips it, not going to unhollow, not going to get that bonus HP, and just keeps going. Now, you thought Dark Souls, a game that is known for being rather difficult and a game that has generated a lot of salt in the past, would be the only point where Phil would be ranting at all this week. No, during Minecraft, which is supposedly a chill stream for him, he gets a cheer that asks if he bought or read David Sirlin's book, which is called Playing to Win.
Have I read David Sirlin's book, Playing to Win? No, but the book did make for some nice extra toilet paper when I ran out. So, and that's where most of the copies went. I'm a stinker, aren't I? That, or, you know, whenever you have a baby with one of those dribbly asses, dribbly, it has the liquid ass, you plop it right down, right on top of Playing to Win. Perfect. The butt cheeks rest perfectly between the pages. It's great. I think it was designed for that. Okay.
Now, this is a book that's 14 years old, but it's interesting. I'm bringing it up because, of course, someone brought it up in chat, and Phil does this whole big thing where he says the book is basically only fit to be used for toilet paper. So, of course, Phil immediately has to go into this anal-focused, shit-focused commentary on something. I mean, he may just be giving what his audience wants. We know Popsicolo has a scat fetish, as he's posted a picture accidentally in Phil's chat before. Or, that Phil is just a closeted homosexual. But the real reason that Phil has such animosity towards David Sirlin goes all the way back to 2007, maybe even earlier, where Phil played him at EVO West in 2007, and I'm only going to play about the first minute of the clip here. It is a 10-minute YouTube clip. It only goes for about 4 minutes. I don't know if you guys want to see the whole match, but I just want to show that Phil played David Sirlin in the past, and spoiler alert, he did lose to him.
Shoryuken!
Okay, once again, guys, we're excited about this crowd and we're happy about your energy, but if you could please do your best to squeeze in while you're watching the finals. If you're on the white carpet, or I don't know, all the carpet's kind of gray now. It's a long weekend. Squeeze it in. Okay, on the left we have David Sirlin playing as Vega. Darkside Phil has made a switch to Blanca. That's 2 Blancas in the final 8. Very rarely seen. Wide range of characters here. And again, this would be considered a counter pick. First round to Darkside Phil with Blanca. Blanca does a lot of damage, sometimes has a hard time doing it, but not this round. Blanca is sometimes considered one of the characters that Vega has a hard time with. Electricity there. Take a look at Vega's bones. Oh, jumping short, stand strong throw. Oh, fake the throw there. Did go for it. Right down to the wire. Super combo by Blanca for the finish. Truly, folks, that is one of the most worthless super combos in the entire game. Put to very good use by Dark Side Phil there.
Tuesday, we get a tweet from Phil, of course, again, early in the morning. This time he's talking about the reason why his ad revenue was down in January was because YouTube wasn't placing enough ads in his hour-long video. He says that they were only putting 1 to 2 ads for his entire hour-long video. So now he says he wants to do it manually from now on. 3 weeks wasted, sad face. So if we click over to a new link, we can look at the Black Ops 4 multiplayer gameplay, an hour and a half long, and YouTube has placed 7 ads during it. Now, when Phil comes through and fixes it, quote unquote, we get to the final fight for Final Fantasy IV. Phil has put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ads in a 1 hour video. So 1 ad every, 20 minutes wasn't enough for Phil. He wants to have an ad for every 6 minutes, which has to be the most that YouTube will allow. So I played around with the monetization settings on my YouTube channel, and you can set an ad break wherever you want in the video. You just have to have enough ads in the pool to play in the video. But Phil could put an ad every minute if he really wanted to. I just tested it, and it allowed me to put an ad break every minute in the video, which would be incredibly scummy for me if I wanted to have the maximum number of ads play per video. But again, you have to pull from a pool of ads that need to play on your videos that look at the tags that your videos have. Now, my videos don't have tags that draw in a lot of advertisers in the first place, and I don't tag my streams, so they don't get ads on them that, as far as I'm aware. So I guess an ad every 6 minutes is maybe some form of restraint from Phil. But I don't see how that's any different than him going back to just doing 10 minutes or even 5-minute clips from his videos and playing an ad on any one of those. Or do 10-minute videos and put an ad in the front and an ad in the end. It's really crazy to me how much he shits on YouTube, tries to move his business more towards the Twitch side and away from the YouTube side and the Patreon side of things, and then he still expects YouTube to come around and give him the same amount of money. I wouldn't be shocked if there's someone behind the scenes at YouTube who's just like, you know what, this guy's content, let's not give him the primo ads that give you like $2-3 CPMs. Plus, with the amount of F-bombs that he drops, the amount of times he says shit and other such words and such negativity he has in his videos, and with the wide scope that he has, because, I mean, Phil has a 10-year legacy. He hasn't really done anything in the 10-year legacy except FAP on stream, but he is still a relatively large channel. He has over 100,000 subscribers. I mean, that's a pretty big milestone. I mean, there are million sub channels out there, but even 100,000 is still an insane achievement. So Phil does have some weight in the grand scheme of things. And because of that, I wouldn't be shocked if there is some flag set on his channel that doesn't say, I mean, not advertiser unfriendly, but says low priority or negative content, things like that. So that way there's a couple of people who sell ads to YouTube who want to avoid channels like Phil's. I mean, I'm sure they have similar flags for these really extreme alt-right channels or far-right channels or very hateful channels or things that could be considered hateful that get some ads but not a ton of ads, that sort of thing. Phil, of course, has yet to adopt the mindset of putting in more effort into something and getting more money out of it. His streams and his uploads have become lazier and lazier, and his YouTube channel is basically just an archive as he describes it. So I sit here and I can't fathom why he thinks he should continue getting big fuck you money from YouTube from a channel that he puts no effort into editing the videos. He sometimes puts thumbnails on the videos, which is like YouTube 101, how to make a thumbnail for your channel is one of the ways to start drawing eyes to your videos. So he's not even trying to draw in new viewership or new subs or anything. It's really just the people who can't catch him live or the people who do catch him live come back at a later date to watch him. Now, we get a really good 1-minute clip from a really good character named Alex Jones, who gives us 60 seconds on DSP, basically just talking about how this guy is evil incarnate and a psychopath. So I thought I'd share that along with you guys. It's really telling at the end where he talks about Phil's eyes and how that kind of ties into the cult video that I keep hinting at.
There it is. Oh, my God. I mean, that is a horror movie cover. Seriously, he is scarier looking than It the Clown. I mean, would you let your children anywhere near that psychopath? I mean, that is a psychopath right there. I mean, look at him. God. Oh, I mean, it cries out, danger, danger, alert, alert. I am a scumbag. I am filth. I am your enemy. I've tried to do joke photos like this to look disingenuous, and I can make any face I want to. I can't pull it off because the eyes, Chico. It's always in the eyes. Oh, my gosh. Oh, hell on earth. He wants to run your life. He wants to control every aspect of your life because he knows he is a cowardly, degenerate sack of anti-human trash.
Now, Noob Noob on Kiwi Farms found a chapter from the Playing to Win book that is free to read online. So I've included that link in case anyone wants to come read this, because the chapter in question that describes DSP very accurately is called Introducing the Scrub. Now, scrub is the definition that David Serlin uses in his book, is a player who is handicapped by self-imposed rules that the game knows nothing about. A scrub does not play to win. This is an interesting thing to take into account here, because this is one of the things that I was telling Saru Watari when we were having our debate in someone else's podcast, and something that very much fits Phil to the T. Phil will play a game like Black Ops and refuse to change away from ACKS because he thinks all the other specialists are gimmicks. He also refuses to change his kill streaks to anything else because, again, those are gimmicks. So what's the whole point of playing the game? I mean, I guess you can play it for fun, but then don't get upset when you lose because you're not taking advantage of every facet that the game offers as different avenues or different pathways to victory. The same thing could be said about Street Fighter 2 when he was playing the 30th anniversary collection that left Akuma in as a selectable character in the multiplayer, knowing that Akuma is a very overpowered character and was banned in tournament play. Well, the game doesn't ban Akuma from the ladder. You're allowed to play Akuma in the ladder. So if you really wanted to get up the ladder, as Phil thinks it's so easy to do by just picking Akuma and auto-winning, well, why doesn't he just pick Akuma and win and get to platinum or diamond or champion status or whatever it is and show the world that he's such an amazing Street Fighter character? Or why does he shit talk on people who do things like Deathstroke back in the Injustice era, who plays a zoning game, who sits back and has a lot of long-range attacks that cover the entire screen? I don't recall Phil picking Deathstroke. All he did was chastise other Deathstroke players, including rage quitting against Deathstroke players. This reminded me of a term that I had when, God, it had to have been back in elementary school when the Super Nintendo was the hot shit. We're playing Killer Instinct one-on-one, and we tried to make a rule where you were not allowed to just sit and spam the same attack over and over and over and over and over. We called it weaseling, I believe. But it was to prevent someone from just finding a move that either had really good range or a really good startup time or covered a lot of the screen, so that way you couldn't get countered very easily. Like it took a lot of either time or effort or some way to figure out a way to beat the ability. Now, Killer Instinct was a game that was really built upon these ridiculous combos culminating in the instant kill ultra combo. So it was a lot of, it felt like to me, a lot of remembering how to enter button inputs to generate a master combo or an awesome combo or all the way up to the ultra combo, of course. But try playing against the computer. The computer will exploit big moves, especially if the computer, I'm not sure how the AI for a Super Nintendo game was set up, but if they had some programming that said, oh, well, I'm versus a character that doesn't have a ranged attack, like say the computer's Fulgore and I'm playing, I don't know, Jago, God, I'm really stretching my memory on this game here, but Fulgore has a ranged attack. Jago, as far as I know, does not have a ranged attack. He has no way to sit back in the corner and fire an attack across the screen. He does have the really cool flying kick that closes distance, but that's it. Reading the rest of the chapter, it really starts to describe Phil in his entirety about how he approaches video games in the competitive video gaming world. So if you have a little bit of free time, go ahead and go check it out. Now we have another clip from Kama that was very nice. This is from an unrecorded Q&A segment. I want to say this is the segment that came after the conclusion of Final Fantasy IV? No, I'm sorry. It was Fist of the North Star when he finally finished that game last week. But Phil is asked about DSP Tries It because he's only used it as a sub-goal in the past. And he talks about if he did it, it would have to include him and Kat, which would mean the meal would cost roughly around $20. I didn't know fast food was so expensive in Renton, Washington. And that the ad revenue he would make off the video would only be $5. So then he's basically losing $15 every time he does the video.
And that's what it would have been if I had continued DSP Tries It this year. It would have been me and Kat, so $20+ for a video where I'm filming a sandwich. The video gets like 5,000 to 10,000 views and makes like $2 to $5 profit. So I was losing $15 every time I did DSP Tries It. There was no point in doing it. It was just fan service.
And he says it was just fan service and there's no point in doing it because there's no money that comes out of it. Now, this is really amazing to me because Phil has a finance degree, which I guess has to do with business, maybe? I don't know if they go in the same school or not. But the thing I want to point out here is Phil has no idea what like a lost leader is or the idea of that this kind of video would reach more viewers, and it's a special video. It's not just, oh, let me archive more gameplay videos to a channel I don't really take any time. I mean, he hasn't even put up a 2019 trailer for his YouTube video yet, and we're almost done with January. I don't know if we'll even see a 2019 trailer for Phil unless a fan does it for free, I guess. But the last DSP Tries It was the Nightmare King burger from Burger King, and Kat was holding the camera the whole time. Did he really go and buy 2 of those burgers with large fries and a large drink for him and Kat to eat? What's the whole point of doing the DSP Tries It if... I mean, what's the point of buying 2 sandwiches for the DSP Tries It if we don't get to see Kat eating it like we did with Leanna? And if that's the case, then is it not worth $5 out of your money, I guess? I mean, you're still paying for the meal, so you still get the meal. You're not really losing any money. I really don't know the fucking logic of him saying, I'm just not going to do it. Besides the fact that he's lazy and he's discontinuing things like the weekend preview. Now it's DSP Tries It. Now it's doing even video game reviews. He's just, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I want to stream, start my stream later, end it earlier, and have my breaks go longer and longer. But I still need more money for less work. Now, Tuesday, since he stopped doing the retrospective event, we got more Dark Souls. And there's a great moment where he's playing the game and people are saying, hey, bro, your weapons are only +5. You can upgrade them past +5. And he says, there's no way for me to do it. No way for me to do it. Now, keep in mind, upgrading your weapons is like one of the basic things to do in a Dark Souls game. And this is his 4th time playing the game. Now, Dark Souls 1, it looks like does something really different where after you use small Titanite shards, you have to modify the weapon in order for it to receive large Titanite shards to go from +5 to +6 and +7 and beyond.
Your mate, are you blind? I cannot upgrade these weapons past +5. He's like, keep going, go to +6. You're fucking blind, dude. You're seriously blind. I can't do it. They don't let me. I can only go to +5. Oh my god. You have to modify it? So it has to be from modify. Okay, so I have to do it from here. It's a large Titanite shard. Okay. But what do I want to do here? Falcon or S-Stock? Ah, okay. Oh, great. So I went to +6 and avoided the magic upgrade option. I give up. No one tells me anything correct. Everyone's just fucking talking out of their fucking ass, and no one actually tells me what I'm supposed to be doing. I seriously give up. Now poor Chestnut won't even sit down. Look. He won't even sit. He's so upset. What you guys did. What you guys fucking did.
Phil not only forgets that this happens, but also chastises his chat yet again for trying to tell him how to do something, and then when he figures out that they were actually correct when he said that they were wrong, then he says that they didn't tell him the right way to do it in the first place. So way to go with your hand-holding interactive chat where you're going to second guess and question and talk down to the people who actually give you advice. So what's the whole fucking point of playing a game that the whole point of the playthrough is it's basically Twitch plays DSP playing Dark Souls 1. And if you're just going to talk back and argue with the people that you're looking to for advice, I mean, what's the whole fucking incentive then for them to actually show up and try to give you any advice just to get their head bitten off? Wednesday, we get a post from Neger Psycholog, which is an old post. He's hearkening back to an older post. But since we were talking about the case study that is Darkside Phil and introducing the scrub, DSP was actually used in a research paper, and he links to that paper. Now, I haven't looked at this, but I thought I'd include it in here because it just seemed like interesting material, something to really show the scope of Darkside Phil. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, this guy has made an impact in the Let's Playing world, in the gaming world, in the YouTube world, and the Twitch world. So there are people maybe closer to normies than you and I who actually might be aware of who Darkside Phil is. Now we get another post from Neger Psycholog, which is a really long thing that looks like it's a summary of a lot of Phil from the past and talking about what Phil has to do for the future. Now, I want to point out this post because the twitlonger that we get later on this day is basically a copy-paste of this post. This big twitlonger came from an account that was like Jack Black and some random numbers, and it was someone who was bragging about telling Phil's neighbors that Phil's a pedophile and doxing Phil's neighbors for the Detractor community. Now, the twitlonger has been taken down. I was able to find an archive of the twitlonger text. I think it's just showing the copy-paste of Neger's text from earlier. And that's Neger. It means black in another language. I'm not saying the N-word, just for clarification. It's the username's name on Kiwi Farms. I'm not including the twitlonger text in this video because it is a huge frickin' post. The screen cap that I have for you is about half of the actual post's length. So if you guys are curious of what the former mod was saying and what the copy-paste into the twitlonger was, the link is, of course, in the source document. Thursday is Ask the King episode 74. Phil has had the question poll thread up on the King of Hate forums since November. 2 months later, we've only gotten 20 questions amassed. This is for someone who has 187,000 subscribers on YouTube and currently about 500 subscribers on Twitch and 123 patrons for $590 a month. And he can only get 20 questions. And of those 20 questions, 3 of them were from a troll and 4 were from one user, Derek Loves Lemur. Now, I thought about doing a summary on what was included in this, but Haunter here has all of Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 of the Ask the King included. So you can actually see what questions he actually chooses to answer and his answers to them. And he basically glosses over shit that doesn't matter. So when we're talking about wrestling, it's just basic wrestling talk. So no need to bother yourself with all that nonsense. Something I did find interesting, though, is on the King of Hate Vlogs channel, you can still leave comments on the videos. So there are some people who are trying to still have positive discourse with Phil on his YouTube chat. And then there is, of course, the rest of us who are coming in here and saying Phil's a liar, Phil's fat, Phil has gout. Now, I watched part of Tevin's restream of Ask the King. I really can't think of a whole lot of details I want to throw out or anything that really stood out to me. It was basically a lot of self-aggrandizement, and of course, you know, he caters what questions he chooses to answer, so that nothing's going to be ever really any hard hitting. And of course, he opens up to stream chat for questions and interactions anyways, so people who didn't pay $20 a month still get to ask a question and potentially have it answered. So what's the point of doing the patron for $20 a month, which is basically $40 to get a question answered, because he doesn't run this show monthly, it's every other month. He did get on a tangent about the word clout and talking about clout chasers and people using Phil's big influence in order to get famous on YouTube or whatever and make drama. But like, dude, like, he makes all the drama. I don't care that people might see me as a clout chaser of Phil. I mean, this shit is fun. Now, Reentry Phantom posted a link to some crime data report about the Renton, Washington area. Now, I don't know why Reentry Phantom posted this in here. Maybe it should have gone into the Ask the King subthread, because maybe it was a question that was asked related to why did you move? Why did you not sell your condo before moving? But Phil has always told this story about the rough streets of Connecticut, and Synth has kind of corroborated this, that yeah, Connecticut wasn't the nicest place to grow up. But then you look at the crime stats of Renton, and Renton's only like safer than 4% of the other cities in the United States. So it's like really, really down there. I mean, it has, I guess, a ton of crime going on. I never expected this. So it just seems really silly that Phil went for, tried to go for a safe suburbia gated community where he could be away from the riffraff or the African tribe that he's described from the Northeast, and he's still in an area that's not the safest place to be, on average, I guess. Thursday, he also played and finished Life is Strange, or at least he played it enough to just get a taste for it and not continue it. But his chat was not very happy about him playing Life is Strange. And I guess the first episode included girls that wanted to run away because their lesbian relationship wasn't accepted by their parents. I don't fucking know. I didn't play this game. But Swaggins was taking the narrative from the first game and trying to apply it to two brothers and implying that these two brothers, both below the age of 18, were having gay sex with each other. So Swaggins is all aboard this underage gay incestuous relationship shipping. Okay. Swaggins is a weird character, but again, it just goes to show the fucking degeneracy of Phil's chat, or when something that his audience doesn't like is shown to them, they're just going to immediately hate on it. Also on Thursday, Pat and Wooly, when they were doing, I guess, their podcast talking about their channel going down, they also talk about the Machinima network being taken down, and they wanted to offer a genuine apology to Darkside Phil for actually outlasting them and outlasting all of Machinima. It's a good little minute-and-a-half clip, so I'm going to play it in here too.
Yeah, I would like to offer a genuine congratulations to Mr. Darkside Phil for outlasting us.
Everything and everyone.
And also outlasting Machinima.
Yes.
Who let him go a few years ago. And when they let him go, he was like, this is bullshit, but whatever, I'll outlast you all. Yup, you totally did.
DSP?
You super won.
DSP. You are the rocks on the eternal shore.
Crash against you and be broken.
There's nothing else to say. DSP absolutely killed it.
I cannot.
He absolutely killed
I
it.
cannot overestimate and overemphasize how genuine my congratulations
Absolutely.
is.
I'm
because
dead
I remember
serious.
him saying, like, "Oh, I'll last everybody." I'm like, "Yeah, right, Phil." Fuck me.
1,000%. Like egg on the face of the world. DSP absolutely hung in there. So no, the
Good
realest,
for you.
the realest of the real. Like, yes. The whole network came down, my dude. The whole thing. We went down, then it went down. And when the system breaks down, we break down. But he stayed true. He stayed true. Man.
Oh.
Man. Tell ya.
And we can top off Thursday with another little bit of other content creators shitting on Phil. We had Diction, who's playing Worms Armageddon with a couple of friends, and he chose some rather creative names for some of his worms to adopt while they were on the battlefield. All right, so we're coming up on Friday. So the weekend, unfortunately, was not very eventful, to say the least. But Phil puts out a tweet about Kat playing Persona 4, and it's just amazing that we still haven't seen her since the Halloween stream. But he still wants to talk about her like she still exists and she's still with him. And I can't think that he has enough of an imagination to keep coming up with stories like this. So she's got to be around at least a little bit in order for him to tell these stories to the rest of the internet. But she very clearly does not want to be put out there. But he still sneaks out little snippets like this, a little story here, a picture of her from behind there. But what's really amazing is this was posted at 3:40 in the morning his time. So what's the point of him, again, losing 2 hours of sleep on Monday from having to deal with the fraud department if he's up till 4 a.m. playing video games with Kat, supposedly? Phil was also very excited to play Resident Evil on Friday, that he posted a picture of himself in his Resident Evil shirt. So we got to see the moobs and belly up close. I don't know why, but it is very heavily rated Islamic content. Haunter also made a separate thread for the Resident Evil 2 hardcore playthrough. And what's interesting about this is Phil basically was paid $200 in order to play the hardcore mode. And he had a very rough time with the hardcore mode. Including the conclusion of Leon's A scenario in hardcore taking 18 hours with 27 saves and a rank of C, which is pretty generous, I would say, because he died a shit ton. A final comment by Hauntor in this post was like with Silent Hill 2 when his audience made him play it on hard. And they didn't make him play it. They just heavily suggested it and said that they wanted it. He called his fans dickheads with Resident Evil 2 for making him play it on hardcore. Except the difference between those two scenarios is Resident Evil 2 came with a $200 tip to play on hardcore. Well, not a single $200 one, a 50, 50, and 100 that all said play on hardcore. Now, I did a lot of restreaming last week and a lot of watching other restreams last week to help me keep abreast of a lot of the Phil situation. But one of the things I found very interesting was going from Saturday to Sunday, because I restreamed, I think, both streams on Saturday. And Phil spent both streams outlining what the whole stream was going to be. So we were going to get such and such game on Monday, such and such game on Tuesday, such and such on Wednesday, day off on Thursday, and then more of this on Friday, yada yada. I mean, like, he had it locked down and he repeated it from the day stream to the night stream. However, when we come up on Sunday, he only plays one stream during the day because he's got important personal matters to take to in the evening and getting ready to pay my February bills or whatever excuse he had to not stream a second time. So instead, we just played some Smash together, and that was a lot of fun. But he starts a poll for what to play on the Monday stream, and I hate him making these polls, because he's pointed out before that if the polls get too many troll responses, like how does he know which response is a troll response or not, that he's going to ignore the results of the poll anyways. And like the polls have no weight for what he does because ultimately he's supposedly up to the control of his stream. Then why doesn't he just pick what he wants to do on Monday? So Monday he plays more Resident Evil, and throughout the weekend, his Resident Evil streams actually did very well, where he got almost $200 every day from playing just Resident Evil. But Monday was very slow, and I mean, like, less than $100 made. And he was ranting and raving about, oh, I knew this was going to happen. I knew my audience was going to pick Resident Evil, and Resident Evil was going to be so slow because no one wanted to watch it for 4 days straight. Well, if you fucking knew, why did you make it a poll option? Why didn't you pick anything else that would have been successful if you're Mr. Know-It-All? No, instead he likes to use 20/20 vision to go back and analyze how his stream did and blame his fucking audience for it, which is what he does every single time when he's trying to come up with new ideas for the stream. He doesn't use his own big boy brain to come up with how to save his own business. He expects everyone else to do it for him. And when his business continues to tank, he continues to blame other people for it tanking. He won't take responsibility for it failing, and he won't man up and take the reins and take charge and be assertive or even be dominant of his own content and say, this is what we're going to do, this is what I'm going to play, and that's that. I feel like I made that same rant last week. But that about does it for the weekend DSP. Real sorry, guys, for this one being real late. I know the last 2 weeks were due to technical difficulties. This time around was just me getting distracted with other games. I'm finally working on my backlog of games, and also. So between gaming, work, and preparing for this polar vortex doomsday, I really did not put as much priority on this, and for that I apologize. But this time around, I feel like the quality's pretty good. I tried something new where I had something moving in the background as opposed to you guys just looking at still images. It's something that I've seen from other YouTube channels, and I hope it's something that you guys find enjoyable. Just for those of you that actually watch the video, I'm not sure how many people out there just listen to me in the background versus how many people are actually watching and reading what's being put up here. So thank you guys again for the continued support. I'm not sure what restreaming I'm going to get to this week, but I will see you guys in the next stream or video. So stay tuned, and I'll talk to you later.